Hello everyone and welcome back. I did say that some big news was coming for Total War after the very small teaser, and today Creative Assembly have posted a fireside chat like they normally do. This one confirms Norsca, but I mean it was kind of confirmed yesterday. So what we're going to do is the usual. We're going to watch over it, stop at anything that's important and comment on that. There will be timestamps in the description below. I'm kind of excited about this because Norsca has been in desperate need of a DLC and a rework for a while, so let's hope for the best.
Hey folks, welcome back to What's Next. I'm Freeman, your head of community, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about what's coming in Tides of Torment, which releases later this summer. And I'm not doing this alone, of course. I'm joined by members of our development team who are here today to take you behind the curtain and talk to you a little bit about what it is we've got cooking. So let's start with some introductions, and of course we'll start with the person who probably needs the least introduction. But Todor, tell the people about yourself.
So, my name is Naldor, and I am the game director of the Warhammer 3 DLC. I've been doing that for the past several months. Before that, I was the game director of Total War Pharaoh. Previously, I worked on Total War Troy, and even before that, on the DLCs for Rome 2. And over here is...
Thank you, Touche. My name is Tuyan. I am currently the art director and concept lead for the Warhammer DLC. Previously, I was the art director for Troy, Mythos, and Pharaoh.
And sitting to my right, we have...
And with a great passion for Total War and Warhammer, my name is Vasil, and I'm leading the Tides of Torment DLC, and I've previously spent some time dabbling in Pharaoh.
And in this What's Next episode, we're going to be very excited to talk about that next faction that we've revealed recently in the Skulls event. We'll get to that in a moment. But elsewhere, we're also going to be talking about some of the reworks that we've got going on. There's one we actually missed in our last video, so stick around. And we'll also be talking to Stoyan as well about some of the art of our game and how much work goes into bringing it to life.
All right, we're going to stop here for 1 second, as it isn't obvious. Most of Sofia looks to be working on Warhammer right now. There are a lot of talented devs there. We know Todor for a long, long time at this point. But it's good to see more new faces in the screen. It's always great to see more developers showing themselves, because I think that's just better overall. I also imagine that most of Horsham is busy working on the next title. But yeah, let's continue.
But Todor, let's give you the first question and the first honor, of course. Who is that next faction and next faction leader we're bringing to the game?
Thank you for the honor. The faction and the race both are very dear to my own heart, because I'm a fan of those hardy people in the north that live right on the edge of the chaotic influence, the Norscans. Yes, we're adding a new legendary lord to the Norscans. His name is Sayl The Faithless.
Okay, we kind of expected that because we saw NIGHTMAW in the teaser trailer, but oh my god, does he look amazing. So, I've got the miniature. I've really got to paint it up at some point, oh my god. But, wow. See, every time we get a character that was in the tabletop that gets introduced into Total War, I have the same reaction because it's so weird seeing plastic and resin kind of come to life like this. That staff arm, you know, the tentacle and so on, looks incredible. Again, the art team, one thing that the CA has always done very well is art. Wow.
He's a powerful spellcaster. Unlike the other legendary lords, he's not one to always lead from the front and try to proving his physical might and his prowess and his bravery. He is all about manipulating those around him and making sure that they believe he's their friend, after which he betrays them. And based on these treacheries, he builds and builds his power, ever growing. This, of course, leads to him slowly getting surrounded by enemies, but, you know, this is the price he had to pay.
He's gonna search for power all across the world in terms of be it chaos or not so much for himself. And he's going to be a great spellcaster. He will possess 2 spell lores for the players to choose from, and that's going to be a bit of an experimentation. It's going to give him a lot of versatility as one of the most powerful spellcasters in the game.
Okay, this is sounding pretty good. So it's going quite clearly in the whole Throne of Chaos section. So he was a character that was introduced around the same time as Tamacon. Well, the same time. And he's supposed to be looking for power. He actually willingly screws over Tamacon too, so he can just further his own means. It's good to see that being represented. It's nice. It basically just gives you the peace of mind that Creative Assembly staff, even the Sofia team, are reading over probably one of the best campaign books, and sadly an unfinished campaign from Games Workshop. So yeah, this is great. That stuff is peace of mind for me. I know that's not important for people who just care about the gameplay, but being true to the lore of the character is very, very important.
Now, we mentioned as we were talking about Sayl there, that there's a lot of manipulation in his realm, and we've had some elements of this with different gameplay factions that we've introduced in the past, such as the Changeling. How is it that it differs to that type of manipulation that we introduced there?
So Sayl is quite different from the Changeling, as he's closer to an ordinary faction. Like, he's a Norscan, he can occupy settlements, he can also raise settlements and dedicate them to the various chaos gods. But there is a special feature you will use to plan, execute, and reap the rewards from your treacheries. Like, initially, we explored a kind of a more rework of how diplomacy system works, but this is kind of a dangerous thing to do to a live game, and this is why we opted for a specific feature to cover the betrayal part of Sayl, which is the major part of him.
So no diplomacy rework just yet, but it looks like they might be building upon a possible foundation. Again, he needs to be able to betray a lot, so that's coming in there. It's going to be quite interesting to see what they have planned. I'm very, very curious. I'm not sure if Pharaoh had something around that lines. I'm very, very curious. But one thing I've said in the past, even like in Troy and stuff, is that CA Sophia is very good at implementing mechanics. So I'm very, very curious to see how this goes.
Diplomacy is a very prominent legacy feature. It's similar to treacherous waters that we try to navigate very cautiously, as it could bring a lot of fallback after it if something unfortunately breaks or changes too significantly. So we've worked around making Sayl's betrayal feel natural for him, so it's represented properly as a treacherous person, and his flavor is felt by the players, but doesn't clash too far with the diplomatic system that's already within the game.
Well, we've got an awesome roster that's planned out for this faction. We're not going to talk about all of it today, but we can maybe give a sneak peek at some of the units that we've been working on. So Vasil, talk us through some of these very headline units that we've got.
So where should we start? Well, clearly the expectations fall first on Sayl. As we mentioned, he's going to be the great spellcaster, and he also is very familiar with a pal of his named the NIGHTMAW. NIGHTMAW is a very unique, very special looking creature. For those unfamiliar, it consists of a few of Sayl's unfortunate sorcerer pals that got fused into one single entity. And in our interpretation of the NIGHTMAW within the game, it's going to be an ability that Sayl is going to be able to cast towards his unsuspecting and unfortunate targets. During the process of development, the NIGHTMAW proved incredibly challenging in various technical aspects. So that was one of the more driving reasons for us to go towards that approach.
All right, we're going to stop here because they're going to start talking about the art. And what I want to say is NIGHTMAW looks amazing. I mean, we saw him in the trailer and stuff like that. I'm really, really excited about that. I am not really keen on him being an ability. Those two models came together on the tabletop. I don't like the idea of an ability. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but the ability kind of looks like he's just going to come in and swipe or something. I'm really not trying to be negative, but we've had entities, like mixed entities before, for example, Scar, Snake, and Gobbler. I feel like it should have either been that or NIGHTMAW being some sort of legendary hero for him and him alone. Maybe this ability is cool, but I'm not really too keen on this. It's just very odd to me. Maybe it's because like I've seen the physical models, so maybe that's a bit more important to me than it is. We'll have to wait and see.
But talking about how the NIGHTMAW looks, I think that Stoyan can share a little bit more as well.
Yeah, the NIGHTMAW is actually a very different looking creature compared to the rest of the roster. So we enjoyed a lot creating this thing, exploring all the Warhammer lore and trying to make it possible for the game, because of course, especially for the animation team, the challenge is multiplied by the extra limbs and mutations the character may have. And yeah, it was very fun to make it.
I'm guessing it's not something we can really mocap, is it?
No, not really. We tried to mocap it up, but it's difficult to keep all the people together so it kind of feels natural, so we kind of gave it up.
Okay, so we've talked about the NIGHTMAW. Then the roster, what else do we have on there?
Another addition to the Norscan roster is the FIMIR Noble. It's an addition to the FIMIR family, which we already have in Warhammer 3. And the FIMIR are known to walk in the shadows, to use magic to their advantage, and to surprise their unsuspecting prey. And the Noble will be no different. He's going to benefit from that as well. And also, as a hero character, other FIMIR present in the game will benefit from his presence in battle.
Okay, we're going to stop here, but I 100% no word of a lie and genuinely surprised we're going to get a FIMIR Noble. Wow! So there was like a noble model back in the day, and that was like, I don't think it even got rules, did it? Right? Like, it was one of those things that was supposed to be around the time of the Blackfire Passbook. So it's nice to see more FIMIR, though. I'm totally into this. Absolutely amazing. Looks freaking good too, doesn't it? We know it's a hero. We're gonna let him talk now. I was literally just, my jaw just dropped. Wow, okay.
In various situations, so they can use them in conjunction with them, but also with other monsters and creatures in the Norscan roster.
So my assumption here is that they're going to be buffers. They're going to be able to buff up monsters and stuff. That's cool. That's basically what Norsca needs anyway. So yeah, that's fantastic. I was actually expecting like a Norscan hero. Wild, isn't it? Makes sense, though, go for a little bit more monster aspects. FIMIR are cool, man. FIMIR are so cool. They never really get a lot of attention, so it's nice to see more of this.
Any more we want to talk about today?
Let me think a little bit about it. We can talk a little bit about the Chimera. So we're also adding a Chimera.
Okay, we're going to stop here. Interestingly enough, I did call this a while back where I said, if we do get Norsca, it's likely that we're going to get the Chimera, because I just didn't see this happening for another Warriors of Chaos DLC, basically. I'm really, really pleased. It's a fun monster. I recently painted one up. I showed it off on Twitter a while back. It's such a good model, so it's nice to see this. That's really nice artwork, too. That's really cool. I wonder if they'll do like artwork sellings at one point, because that would be nice on the wall.
Three-headed monster that I imagine it comes to no surprise to most, unfortunately. But it's a very vicious flying creature, versatile in combat, is going to be able to...
Sorry, I hate to interrupt once he's mid-sentence, but that is stunning. That's such a great paint scheme. God damn it, I'm going to have to buy another Chimera just to paint it like this.
Get in and out of battle very quickly. And its three heads will possess 3 different attacks that will also give it a little bit more zest in how it engages with other creatures and characters on the battlefield. And of course, there's going to be other secrets, but we're going to keep them for later.
And onto the Chimera, there is a little known biological fact that it has 4 heads because its tail is also a head.
True.
That is absolutely right.
Okay, well, do make sure that you are, of course, subscribed and following us everywhere, because we do have more of this roster to reveal.
Okay, so they're not going to show off the whole roster, but that's what they did with SLAANESH. I like Todor's humor, by the way. He just seems likable. I know that's not like too important for people, but remember that Warhammer is supposed to be a little bit silly too, right? It's not all serious, so a little bit of humor is always good.
But later, Now, it's been some time since we've had the opportunity to update Norsca, but when we go back to looking at one of these factions that haven't been updated in a while and brought in line with those new standards that we kind of have, what's the first type of thing that we look at for this faction?
So yeah, as you said, the Norscans have been in there for quite a while. We've been hearing people saying, just please update them. They're in need of love. And we've decided to give them this kind of love right now. There are 2 types of updates that we're making to the Norscans. One of those is related to their racial mechanics, but we're also doing some faction-specific ones.
All right, I'm very interested here because this kind of sounds very similar to what happened in Omens of Destruction. We had a big racial rework for like ogres, but then there was also some faction-specific stuff for Throgg and Greasus. If that's what Todor means, I'm going to be really happy, because the ogre rework really did fix a lot of problems, and having some little mechanics come in really does help.
So in terms of racial mechanics, we're changing the way the Monsters Arcanum work. This is a favorite change of mine because it makes it kind of more relevant to what I'm doing in my campaign. We're also updating the way Chaos Gods Allegiance work, and also the dilemmas related to Confederation. We're a bit expanding them.
Okay, so before he jumps into the stuff, Monstrous Arcanum, yeah, that needs to be updated a little bit because it needs to just be done a little bit better. The devotion stuff sounds interesting. I'd like to see... This is something that I talked about in a video prior. It's like, okay, yeah, I'd like to see a proper devotion mechanic, just a little bit more stylized, where you'd be able to get some God-touched units if you devote one way, but there should also be an undivided pathway. Kind of like what happened to Daniel, but not with Daniel's mechanics, right? Just inspired from that, I think would be working quite well. And the Confederation thing sounds pretty interesting. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to change Confederations. I do wonder how that's going to go.
In terms of faction-specific stuff, we are changing the way SEAFANG works for WULFRIK. SEAFANG is his signature ship, and currently he is available in the game only as a battle ability, but we have extended his presence to the campaign map. So right now we're using SEAFANG will provide you with an easier means of transport, crossing vast distances from port to port, which will likely turn you into this ultimate raiding machine that we're going for, the flavor.
Please be a pseudo-horde, please be a pseudo-horde, please be a pseudo-horde. It sounds pretty interesting. It's the whole thing about raiding machine, so it's going to be incentivized to move around. I'm assuming it's going to be a pseudo-horde. Oh my god, yeah, like the idea of SEAFANG actually being represented properly? Oh, I'm so happy. Let's hope for the best.
WULFRIK. And as for Throgg, Sayl?
Throgg is an interesting case where he's the Troll King a little bit more on paper, at least as that's how we saw it in the current example. And as Todor mentioned, we've tried to push in the flavor for other Norscan faction, not just Throgg. So one of the factors that we looked through when we did these reworks is to make them feel distinct of each other. WULFRIK, Throgg, and Sayl. WULFRIK being more the marauding side, Sayl the diplomatic manipulator, and Throgg the monster king that expands his kingdom in destroying things around him. Basically, he's going to remain on his present position, but we've adjusted him with an additional mechanic that where he's going to be able to utilize his influence towards other monsters and trolls more in particular, and call their power, one might say, in order to aid him in battle and aid him in his further conquests.
He emphasized trolls there. If we could get river trolls and stone trolls and stuff with Throgg, it would be kind of cool. Yeah, they're more of a greenskin unit, but the more trolls you have, the better. I feel like that would just kind of help out. I'm really curious to see what this new mechanic is going to be honest. With these little reveals, not a lot of information is given out, but keep in mind that during this time, it's always, oh yeah, it's very much still in development, so they can't really talk about it too much in case something drastically changes. This DLC is slated for summer of this year, but even though summer's close, development changes drastically. Believe me, I know this.
Another interesting addition that it's also worth saying is that we're adding a few more hunts within the Monsters Arcanum. So there's going to be more monsters to hunt, there's going to be more creatures to seek, and more rewards to reap.
More monster hunts. Great. No, this is actually really good. The system is good. The system is actually quite good, and there's a lot of weird monsters in the game now that they could probably pick up. Yeah, this sounds awesome. I like the idea of it. It's about time too, because I don't think some of them even work currently in live game.
And another tiny but significant update is that both Throgg and WULFRIK are getting an additional set of voice lines. Especially for Throgg, it was important to convey the fact that as he is a troll that's being touched by chaos, he's also a more intelligent kind of troll. Perhaps the most intelligent troll in existence.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for this message. Holy shit! Yeah, that was a surprise. Oh my god, they're finally going to redo Throgg's voice lines. Do you see? Complaining works. Oh my god. Thing is, Throgg is supposed to be quite intelligent. Those who have read the book knows, right? So it's good to see this finally going in. I hope the same voice actor's in, not gonna lie. Like, he has a very nice voice. But like I am like seriously surprised. Oh my god.
So a whole new VA has been recorded for these then?
Yeah. We saw that WULFRIK and Throgg were lacking VOs from the original game, as they are one of the more older factions within Warhammer. But also, we've heard the comments about Throgg's previous VOs, and we completely agree with it, actually, and decided to redo completely Throgg and update WULFRIK to be brought in line with the current state of what Warhammer is today.
Okay, well, awesome. I'm glad that you guys have had the opportunity to do that. I know it's something that you guys have been asking for quite a lot on the Reddits and the forums.
If I remember correctly, CA at one point said that they were never going to do this, and we ended up with a very, very talented mod on the workshop, a very talented voice actor there. You know, it's great to see that complaining works. I feel for the modder and also the voice actor who did the mod. But, you know, these types of things need to be done officially, obviously, because at the end of the day, characters need to be represented in the most proper way. You know what's funny, though? Considering how, you know, GW kind of is about specifics, they never complained about Throgg, which is super weird.
In the last What's Next video, we kind of forgot to talk about the Dakara and SLAANESH reworks that we're also trying to bring. So when it comes to SLAANESH, what are the things that we've looked to update there?
SLAANESH is an interesting case where they were represented just by N'Kari currently, and we wanted to make the new faction in terms of the Kala and N'Kari feel distinct from each other, but also supplement what SLAANESH does right now. And while it does it fairly well, we've updated a few systems to bring them more into up to speed with the current trends that we've used in other reworks. So that applies towards the technology trees. We've looked towards the proliferation of codes to make it a little bit more functionally usable in terms of their current strategies and what they aim to achieve right now on the map. And also we've looked how to improve and tweak some of the more controversial aspects of SLAANESH benefits, for example, their replenishment, and also their usability in terms of battle and the stats there.
Okay, yep, perfect. You see, a while back I said in a video, it's like, no, SLAANESH is functionally fine. All they basically need is an update to like the tech tree and the cult stuff. Yeah, this is fine. This is more than fine. No complaints from me whatsoever. If they basically just get the attention that Khorne got during their updates, we're golden. So Nash is in a very good spot. Replenishment could be a bit better, that's for sure. But in most cases, like, they play perfectly fine. The tech tree needs a little bit of a tweak here and there, but yeah, I'm happy. Very small detail, but it's still enough to just make me content.
Okay, well, there you have it then. Sayl and the Norsca are our next faction that you can look forward to when this next DLC launches later this summer. Now, unless you've been living under a mangler squig, you probably saw the Skulls event very recently, and you may have spotted this first look at Sayl. Take a look at this. I mean, these trailers are just fantastic for us to watch. Break it down for us though, Total. What have we actually seen in that trailer?
So we saw the first significant moment of Sayl's rise to power, and also a treachery. Because what happened in this particular case is that Sayl was a part of a conclave of magicians, and they're conducting a special ritual. Unaware that Sayl has, fiddled around with it for a bit. So it backfires the ritual because of Sayl's treachery. And what happens is that the leader of the magicians, called Shalkane, and probably I'm butchering the name, I don't know, he is blown up to bits. Only his teeth remain, and they become a battle ability for Sayl further on. Whereas the other three spellcasters are fused into this hideous blob of moving flesh, a specific kind of spawn that is called the NIGHTMAW.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what. I watched that teaser constantly, and I didn't clock on that was the birth of NIGHTMAW. I thought it was just summoning in NIGHTMAW. So this is just like the origin for Sayl. This is good, man. That's awesome. Okay, no, again, what I said prior with the whole thing of them clearly going over the lore and stuff, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. This is good to see. keep in mind that like we lost a lot of lore when it came into Omens of Destruction. Like, yeah, shit's represented a little bit, but it's not a lot of the context, especially with the trailer. It didn't really have anything. That's fantastic. I'm really happy about this. I can't believe I missed that. That's so good. That's so freaking good.
And yeah, this is something that you will see Sayl use in battles.
Now, these things, I mean, there's so much work that goes into creating them. When we start to concept them, Stoyan, how long does it take for us to get from that point to the finish line where they're looking as cool as we saw in Skulls?
Well, it's a quite long process, and actually everything starts with the brief from the game design team. We collect all the information we need, the research for Warhammer lore, and gathering miniature references, if there is any. After we collect all the information we need, the concept team start with a rough sketch representing the main visual features of the character. After the sketch is approved, we continue with the actual concept, where we create more detailed and accurate version of the character, including multiple view angles, material guides, stuff like that. And after that, the concept is actually ready to proceed with the modeling part, where we create the geometry and texture and materials for the in-game model. After that part, the character continues his journey to the skinning, rigging, animations, and VFX. So it's a quite long process. A lot of teams are involved, and yeah, it's a great team effort.
I'm not jumping in a lot here, it's mostly because I'm just kind of engrossed in it. I like hearing about the development of video games, and I think it's really important to show off stuff like the concept art that they showed off. It's very, very cool to see. More and more studios are doing that now, which is great. I think that it's better when we get to see it from Total War, because there must be so much work, especially with Games Workshop involved. Like, I'm not trying to sound mean to Games Workshop, it's just they are very protective of their IP, and things have to look very much a certain way. So I can imagine that during the production, stuff gets sent over and stuff gets sent back, and it's just constant back and forth until they hit the mark to the vision of Games Workshop when it comes to these things. Because showcasing a model, copy-pasting a model, that is not the same still. There's artwork, there's references. Even if you compare, for example, Grand Cafe, which was recently shown for the Old World, there are distinct changes between how Cafe looks in the Old World compared to how Cafe looks in Warhammer 3. And I imagine they're trying to get it as close as possible within the limitations of not only art, but also just the game engine itself. Even then, they look pretty damn close, too. Like, yeah, sure, there's some visual differences, but pretty damn good.
In general.
Now, one of the great privileges that we always have with these What's Next videos is the opportunity to talk about the craft of making a video game, because it's something that we love doing, but it's never easy. And I mean, that's always going to be true of art as well, isn't it, Stoyan? Like, what are the challenges that you bump into when you're trying to create something as immersive and diverse as the world that we have in Warhammer?
Well, I think the main challenge always is to keep the fine balance between multiple requirements, one of which is to keep all the assets true to the Warhammer lore and sources, in the same time to fit the already established visual style and technical requirements for the game, to be capable of performing all the actions and abilities which are required by the game design, and in the same time looks cool. So yeah, all these things are kind of difficult to balance in some cases with some characters.
And already this DLC that we're creating now, it's taking shape, and it's stuff that we are really enjoying having a look at and playing with already. But when you guys are playing the builds that you have today, what are the things that are really making you smile and say, I can't wait for players to actually get hands-on with this?
Well, from my perspective, one of the things that really inspires me is the fact that I, as a Total War player, am one of the first to experience the entire thing of playing a campaign with Sayl and seeing how his features have come together so that a particular type of experience can be achieved, and also then providing input on that experience. But if we're talking specifically about art, I love the battle animations of units. So what I do on most of my battles in the very beginning, before I've hit the start battle button, I just arrange my units and I do a pass over with the camera right by them to see how they roar or, you know, sharpen their weapons or whatever. This is something that I love, not only for Warhammer, but for any Total War game that I've played.
I do the same, and like even months and years after units have been released, I still do the same. So I completely am on the same wavelength as this dude. Just like how the units move and stuff is amazing. And it's good to see that the devs still see that magic, you know, especially when we're seeing them take on a really big role here, because obviously they're taking over for Warhammer now, and it's not an easy thing. Like, sure, they've done, like, Tordor's done stuff like, you know, mythical creatures and so on, because Troy had a very interesting take on mythical creatures, but I feel like Warhammer must be one of those things where it's so bombastic in a sense, right? It's myth, but on steroids, and it's so all over the place. So it's good to see that devs still feel that magic for that. I feel like that's really important, especially when it's creating something so strange.
It's actually one of my favorite aspects as well, to see something brought to life from a sketch that we've all worked to bring into existence, and then with the progression of how it appears without maybe the textures or maybe without animations, and then the animations appear. And because, well, for us in game design, we're focused over multiple aspects of the project itself, we're not always keeping in touch with the latest development, and it's occasionally brings a smile for me too when I'm doing testing of a feature or something else, to see a new animation added and it's something incredible, something great. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And that's one of my favorite processes of this job actually as a whole.
There is literally a kind of magic in there, because for some of the units, what you know in the beginning is just a brief paragraph of text, and then months later you see the unit in the game, and you say, "Oh my God, it's alive! This is what it is."
It looks awesome. It's always a great feeling at the end.
And we're obviously so blessed as well, because there is so much creativity in our community and from our players. When we see art come from them, whether it's their own creations, whether it's mods, whether it's just tiny tweaks on what we've got, like, what is it that you see in our audience that inspires you, Stoyan?
Yeah, for me as an artist, it's always inspiring and interesting to see other artist representation of Warhammer units and characters, especially ones which don't have actual models, references. So in such cases, without such specific reference, it's very important for the artist to have great imagination and deep lore knowledge to be able to create this character in the best possible way. So I think that especially for the concept design, the imagination is very valuable trait, and I suggest to all aspiring artists to try to always create something new and different, not always everything else which is already there.
It's really nice that they say that, especially about like the fan community with regards to mods and arts and stuff. Keep in mind that I'm not sure how many are left in there, because obviously there was this, the very unfortunate layoff situation, but there has been a lot of modders who have transitioned to working for CA, to working on Total War games, to working on, for example, Warhammer. So I think it's quite important that they message that. You know, it's great to see the devs not only sounding positive about their own work, but also sounding positive about the community at large. That's amazing. I'm really happy about that.
Now, we have 6.2 on the horizon. There's going to be things that we still want to do before we get to update 7.0. But Total, what are those things?
So, as you mentioned, 6.2, right around the corner somewhere. In 6.2, we will be updating ancillaries in general in the game. Their effects, their trigger conditions, we'll likely be adding some new ones. We will be trying to find the balance between making those ancillaries that are perceived as, you know, not as useful, making them more powerful, more prominent, but still retain the ones that are fan favorites, their unique status. This update to the ancillaries, we have been thinking about it for quite a while, and we've decided that now is the proper time to release it. And earlier in the year, we released 6.1, which brought about a significant update to Kislevite factions, to the gameplay of Kairos with a few additional units for Cathay. And we're really happy with it, because this was our way to address player feedback related back to the release of Shadows of Change, because these were the factions from the Shadows of Change. One thing that we did find out is that it took a significant effort to plan it, design it, develop it, test it, and then release it. So the next patches will be focused on some specific bits in the game. Of course, the ancillary system is something that is quite far-reaching, but it is one of the features. And these are our plans in general for the future patches to focus on specific aspects of the game itself.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, don't expect a rework in 6.2, but expect the changes to the auxiliaries instead. Yep, which I think is fair. They redeem Shadows of Change, that's definitely a big thing, and they don't need to make the next patch as large. I can't imagine that that is a big reason why maybe 7.0 seems a bit far off. So auxiliary rework is fine, and then in the future we might potentially get something if they focus on it. I think that's what they're saying. Maybe not. If it is what they're saying, then yeah, sounds good. I'd rather a patch not get a rework every single patch if it meant that another core system, like for example auxiliaries or items or something else, gets reworked heavily too. The main thing is they wanted to sort out Shadows of Change, which they did. And Cafe, like I said, was fine. Like more than fine. I think it's the only good thing of Shadows of Change originally. So yeah, it's all good.
One thing that we are doing in addition to the patches and the hotfixes, which are still recurring, is the Proving Grounds. The Proving Grounds are this special kind of an arena where you can play a version of the game with some fixes and some changes in there, and you can give us your feedback. And this is the proper moment to thank our community for providing us with feedback on the campaign AI changes that we have done so far. Our main goal was to make the campaign AI more active, more challenging, so that you kind of meet some resistance in the later stages of your campaign. This makes it more engaging, more interesting. And it was really amazing to go through the feedback of the people playing actual playthroughs and telling us how things happened with them, telling their story. This is one of the challenges that we're facing, because a total war game, if you have to experience its entire campaign in actual environment, it takes a lot of time to complete. We don't have enough people over here to do sufficient amount of playthroughs for the Immortal Empires, where you can have, and you already have, more than 100 playable factions. Of course, the dev people are playing it, and our QA team, God bless the QA team, are playing the game too, and we're taking their feedback into account. But the Proving Grounds are a really priceless source of feedback. So please join them. Please give us your feedback. We'll take it into account. And we plan to do some more in this year, again, related to various aspects of the game, where such changes which will benefit the most from a lot of people playing them.
I know some people push back on the Proving Grounds, but I feel like the Proving Grounds were a very good addition to the game, seeing them back. Obviously, we had them in Warhammer 2 originally, but they kind of just disappeared. The patch system has benefited, it seems, and not only that, but like, it's always good to kind of provide feedback. I know a lot of people have been doing. I've been checking out the forums every now and then, and I do see it during the systems being active and so on. And it's nice, generally, like some CA devs have asked us what we think about it too, like the content creators. Overall, I think a beta is better if you're kind of invested into the title, right? Where I am invested just purely because I play this game a lot, and I know a lot of you guys do too. It's not mainly free work. I guess some people have been calling it that. It's like, well, you want to help out. It's the same reason like how people do that for World of Warcraft, for example. I like that they're going to continue with it. I think it's a very good way forward for everyone. So yeah, let's hope that we see that fabled Siege rework in one of these one day.
Okay, well, that's probably just about all the time that we've got for this particular What's Next video. Of course, our thanks to Todor, to Stoyanov, and to Vasil for joining me today to talk through all of these changes. But there you have it. Sayl is our next legendary lord leading the forces of Norsca. And of course, he's joining Dakala, who's marshalling the forces of SLAANESH. There's still one more legendary lord for us to reveal, which we'll be doing in the next What's Next video, which we should have for you next month. In the meantime, do make sure you drop down to the comments below Let us know what you think. What have you enjoyed hearing about today from the team? What's got you super excited for what's coming next in Warhammer 3? For now, we will say our goodbyes, but do make sure you head over to totalwar.com. You'll find all of our socials linked from there. And of course, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because we'll have plenty more to show you on this DLC in the near future. For now, we'll say our goodbyes. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, folks. Hit it again. I hit it again.
Okay, so that's it. And yeah, this wasn't bad. It's definitely a better one than what happened with SLAANESH. While SLAANESH did get a lot of notice, there was a lot of missed stuff when it comes to rework and so on. Norsca, SLAANESH, only one more to go. One more to go. Hopefully it won't be too long until we get to see the third and final faction, but so on, I'm pretty happy. The fact that Throgg is getting a vocal rework, WULFRIK, I don't care too much, but Throgg I think was really very important, and Sayl looks good, NIGHTMAW looks fantastic. I really do hope they consider turning it into a unit. I don't like the idea of a summon, but maybe it plays differently. It's one of those things, until I get my hands on it, I won't really be able to say. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's have a bit of a discussion. I will be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges today. If you want to pop by, say hi. I will be streaming, I think, some Battle Sector, the brand new DLC. There's been a lot going on, as you can imagine, with the Games Workshop stuff and this and Battle Sector and Gladius and so on. I am all over the place. All over the place. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye.